सर्वतथागते अन्नहते संज्ञासं बुद्धते नमो हरियावानुकेते शिवराय बुद्धिसत्त्वाय महासत्त्वाय महाकारुणिकाय कालिया ओम तारा तारा तिरि तिरि तुरु तुरु इति वे इति जरे जरे पुराचारे पुराचारे कुसुमे कुसुमावा तेरी मिरि चित्ति चोहरा मपनाय शोभा Namo Hariyawanukeete Shivara sambuddhete Namo Hariya Avalokite Shoraya Bodhisattvaya Mahasattvaya Mahakarunikaya Ti-Ratana Om Ti-Ratana Ti-Ri-Ti-Ri Tu-Ru-Tu-Ru Iti-We Iti-Jare-Jare Pura-Jare Pura-Jare Usume Usumawa Leiri-Miri Jiti Tohara Mapanaya Shoha
It's complete now to give a talk about something or other. And it is wonderful that I haven't got a clue what I'm going to talk about. But just, maybe just the results of a peaceful mind. Just in your daily life, relationships, problems of the world and stuff. That when I was young, I must admit that I'm not young anymore. Sometimes when people tell me that I'm getting old, I say, no, that's wrong. I already am old. But you're not really worried about anything, which is a beautiful thing. And one of the reasons is because you have this great resource inside of peace and quiet and stillness. And having built that up over so many years. And Sometimes people build up their superannuation, their investments, money and property and stuff. And people sometimes ask me at my age, I'm 68 now, 69 next, month and a half, that's not that long. 69 soon. I said, what have I got saved up? I've got a fortune inside. A fortune of peace and stillness and kindness, wisdom. That's where I keep my superannuation. And it really works as well. Because look, what do you need money for? Get something to eat. And sometimes you're just kind. And we have this tradition in Buddhist monasticism to rely upon alms food. And it can be such a beautiful tradition. What comes to mind is when we were having one of these big conferences in Perth many years ago. One of the young monks said, I'm not going to have the lunch which was provided free for all monks and nuns. He said, I brought my bowl into Perth. I'm going to just go and see if I can get any alms round. So he went there just walking through St. George's Terrace and around the area to see what would happen with his alms bowl. No other food. And he had these wonderful experiences of the one which almost brought me to tears, I must admit, because sometimes I get teary because I see some such beautiful actions in this world. There was like a homeless man, and he had a sandwich, which I don't know where he got his sandwich from. And he saw the monk, and he stopped the monk and said, please stop and accept my sandwich. And the monk sort of opened his bowl lid and took a sandwich. Because when we go on alms round, we never ask for anything. We don't say, give me this, give me that. If somebody wishes to put some food into your bowl, they will do. And that's what he ate for his lunch that day. Not much. Where it came from was so wonderful and beautiful. We always feel that if somebody does a wonderful, kind, generous, sometimes you may say stupid act. That homeless man needed the food? No. The homeless man needed the opportunity to be kind. And that was even more, you can get another sandwich somewhere. The opportunity to be kind and generous and do something from the heart. To actually to give, instead of worrying about getting, was something which was inspiring to that homeless man and something which that monk would never forget. So some of the ways that we can survive in our world, and also that insurance, we were talking about insurance in executive committee just beforehand. With our insurance, what actually insurance do you really need? Sometimes, you may be in a bushfire and your house burns down. Sometimes your car is damaged and it's just maybe so hard to get compensation or get things all paid off and fill out forms and stuff. But you know that the best insurance is always your friends and family. People who care about you. They come and help you. If you haven't got a place to stay, it can be a friend, an aunt or somebody, they will look after you. There's a fellow who used to come here many years ago. These are stories I haven't told for a long time now. But he had a reasonably good relationship, but after a while it didn't work out, and so they got divorced. And after he got divorced, that's when he started coming here. And he told me that he used to have this pedigree dog, and being divorced and just staying in a small apartment somewhere, that he couldn't look after the dog. So he saw if he could find other owners of a similar breed so he can give the dog to somebody else to be looked after. And that actually got him in contact with this old lady. And the old lady didn't want a dog, but she said, well, if you don't mind, I don't have any transport, and I do have some business every now and again, going to see the doctor, or going to see the dentist in town, and it's just too difficult for me to get the bus. And he said, because he was a kind person, he said, oh, well, I'll give you a lift whenever you want. He was owning his own business, running his own little show, not making very much, but it was getting by. And he said that one day, after maybe a year or two of him giving her a lift, he said he always loved serving. He always loved whenever she called, he said, is it too much problem? He said, no, I'm very happy to take time away from the office and take you to where you need to go. Have you ever noticed when you are kind, when you just say, well, it's not for me, for somebody else, you get so much good energy. I always do that because some of the stuff which I do, I shouldn't really be doing it, but it's a wonderful thing to be able to help someone else and do something else, and do something which is sometimes really, really stupid. I mean, stupid, but kind. And before I go back to this gentleman, what happened with this old lady, that I remember just sitting here on a Friday night many years ago, and that just before the talk, I got a call from Singapore that the husband of one of our supporters had really helped us so many times. Even just when we got Jhana Grove for our retreat centre, we just didn't have enough money to pay the bills. And when I went over to Thailand, she said, how much? I said, here's the cheque. She did it. And a little, well, maybe a little thing or a big thing like that, I always remember that. People have really helped me, got me out of difficult situations. I will never forget you. Her husband died. And they called up, I think, in the morning of Friday. And said, can you come, please, tomorrow for the funeral on Saturday? I said, that's impossible. I've got to give a talk on a Friday night. I've got so many things to do. It's a really stupid thing to try, and I probably won't be able to get a flight. So I rang up Singapore Airlines and got a flight. Leaving right after the Friday night talk. It's absolutely stupid. I just arrived in Singapore Saturday morning, just really tired, half asleep, but did the funeral for her. I love doing things like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. I should look after my health, but actually my health was great. Why is that? Even if you don't have any sleep, and you still got full energy. It is because you're getting into a source of energy and power, which is from kindness, from love, from giving, from just doing something for the sake of someone needs you. And so, back to this gentleman who used to come to our Buddhist society many years ago. This old lady called him and said, look, I'm sorry to disturb you again, but I've got to go and see my lawyer, and it's just really hard getting sort of the buses and stuff into where my lawyer lives, and I'm very old, it's very hard to walk. So yeah, no worries, I'm delighted to take an hour off work and then just come and look after you. I enjoy it. And so he took her to the lawyer, and he usually parked his car out, so I said, no, I really need you to come in. And I thought to sign some documents and there'd be a witness or something. And then found the reason why she wanted to have him in the lawyer's office. And he told me this here many years ago. He said was because she was making him the sole beneficiary of her will, which was a lot of money, basically a couple of million or something. And he just was blown away. That he always did was, he was just kind for the sake of being kind. No more than that. But she recognized, his kindness and said, this is the sort of guy I would like to enjoy my wealth. And she died about 6 months later. And I remember him just sitting here in front of me and said, the money's not important. What was really important to me was the kindness. And the fact that she valued was what I was more than happy just to give for free for the rest of my life. That's the sort of thing which I invest my time in. And that's the sort of thing which doesn't matter about stock markets, or doesn't matter about investments in property and prices going up and exchange rates going down, and goodness knows it gets so confusing sometimes. But kindness service, looking after one another. That is something which never sort of reduces in value. And it doesn't matter who that is. And sometimes, because you're being kind to someone, they just become your friend. Again, someone reminded me of our first year, when I first came to Perth 37 years ago now. And building just Bodhinyana Monastery, just building it ourselves, and just asking the plumbing shop. So I don't mind. I don't know if it's illegal for me to say the names of the plumbing shops which we use, but that was Galvin's and Sons. But anyway, I don't mind saying that because they were just so nice. I went there and just said, look, these are the plans, help. And they spent just about half an hour now just explaining to me. It's pretty simple, because we couldn't afford a plumber. So I became the plumber. And they gave good advice. And I was a bit nervous when the health inspector came to check everything. And he looked at it and he said, pass. You did a good job, well done. And that's our first sewage system. We got a few sort of drop-ins from the monastery here today. I can see the 1, 2, 3. That ablution block where you have showers, I built that one and did all the plumbing for that. And I was just so shocked it passed the tests. And so that the next day we got the bill for all the parts. And because I built it, I checked the bill, it was all in order. I got the treasurer to get the check, so we could send the check to the plumbing place. But then I thought, well, these people really helped me, show me how to do this. So I wrote a little letter. Maybe it's just a page letter, say thank you very much. I think the worker was Fred. And it was in Osborne Park at the time, many years ago. He's probably retired a long time ago now. But thanks especially to Fred. Really helped me. Just amazing service. Thank you so much. And here's a check. And what happened next was I just sent it off to the office. And apparently I got this from Fred himself a couple of days later, that he never receives those letters with the checks, and that goes to the accounting department. And so someone in the accounting department opens that, and there was a letter inside along with the check. And apparently the person who opened the letter thought, oh no, not another complaint. Because the reason you laugh there, because the usual time when people write letters is to complain about something. When people do a good job, you take it for granted. And they saw the letter, and it was actually a very nice letter of praise. And so she took it to the head of accounts, who took it to the CEO of the company, the big boss of Galvin's and Sons at the time. And the big boss just picked up the phone and asked for Fred on the desk in Osborne Park. Galvin's office is a big company. And I know exactly that happened because the CEO rang in the morning and I visited in the afternoon. I visited in the afternoon to change a part over. I had a small part, needed to be a bigger part. And as soon as I came in the shop, there was these 2 or 3 plumbers in front of me. These were big guys in their shorts and singlets, waiting for their order. But as soon as I came in the shop, Fred took one look at me, Bob, come over here. And the other plumbers were really upset and angry. He said, I don't worry about those. You come up here, what can I get for you? And I was a bit surprised. And then his mate, the other person on the shop front, said, oh, Fred, it's your wife is here, call me his wife. The only reason that he said, because, that he said that the CEO had called him and about a couple of hours earlier in the morning to say, thank you, Fred. what a wonderful job you're doing there. Got a letter from one of your customers. This is the sort of thing we want in our company. Well done, Fred. How much are you earning an hour? And we gave him a rise right there. Increases salary. And that's why Fred was very loving to me. He said, come round the back. And there's a big sign there, just customers are not allowed round the back. Yeah, come round the back. What do you want? And so we changed the part over, and there's maybe about $20 difference. And said, how much do we owe you? And with a big smile, which I'll never forget, he said, Brahm, nothing. And that was just a beautiful moment. That's all it was just one small act of kindness. Just writing a letter, being respectful. Wouldn't you like a letter from somebody if you really helped them, being kind to them? Somebody just calls you and says, thank you so much for bringing some cheese today, Nicholas. I ate that. I really need it. I was tired. Thank you. What does that do to you? Ooh. It does it to me. And so those acts of kindness, that is just my investments. And of course, whenever I need to recoup some of those payments, they're right there for me. And just people to look after you, to give you lifts, to make sure that you have enough food. One of the wonderful things about sort of the life of a monk or a nun is we don't need very much. And it's wonderful so many people come and ask, like I'm just looking at a few of you, you've asked me, Ajahn Brahm, what can we get for you? What do you need? Please let me know. I want to give you something. I said, nothing. No, you must get something. I said, no. Because you know how hard it is to try and find something to get for a monk. Even once, I challenged somebody about this. He said, he said, look, whatever you want. And I asked him, I said, okay, do you really trust me, my goodness? He said, yeah. So I said, give me a blank check, signed. And they did, from their account. They signed the check, and there was I think it was to the Buddhist Society of West Australia, or to Bodhinyana Monastery, I forget which. They didn't put any amount on it. They said, put your own amount on it. Wasn't that wonderful? Have you ever received a blank check? I have. And I just kept it for a few days or a week, I forget how much, just because it was just a gesture, and I gave it back to them. Just I wouldn't cash a blank check or put money in it, because that's just not how we work. But what a beautiful thing that was, just because when there's that trust there and that friendship, that really means that we have something much more than that was $10, you owe me $15 back, and then $20 here. And have you ever done accounts and tried to balance everything? Oh, and sometimes, where's our treasurer? Is he? There seems to hear really. It just drives you crazy, trying to balance everything and how much it costs and whatever. But how much does kindness cost? Do you ever run out of it if you give more and more and more and more? You never run out of kindness. The more you give, obviously, the more you have to help others, and it's impressive. With that kindness is forgiveness, because sometimes people forget to do things, or sometimes they make mistakes. That's one of the things which I said last night, which Sean Nana sort of took on board. It's okay to make mistakes. That's a wonderful insight from my meditation. You don't always have to be perfect. And so I make mistakes. Sometimes those mistakes I make on purpose, like my robe falling off. People say, Ajahn Brahm, you're an old monk now. You should actually have learned after 45 years of being a monk to keep your robe on. You ever notice it always keeps falling off? Do you think that's on purpose? So I do not sort of intimidate too many other monks. It's my excuse. But whatever is, it's much more important to keep your kindness on instead of keep your robe on. And that joy, that happiness, that is more important than anything else. So sometimes people say, oh, what about your posture when you're meditating? How many people just worry they think they have to sit on a chair or sit on the ground or lay on the ground? What's the most important part of your body to be concerned about when you meditate? As far as I'm concerned, the only important part to be concerned about is the shape of your mouth. Turn the corners up and it's much easier to get deep meditation. I'm a well-known meditation teacher, so I know what I'm talking about. Because sometimes, you know what happens? Teaching meditation, teaching retreats, especially. Our retreats here are no problem at all, because I've been teaching these for such a long time now. People understand roughly how to meditate. But sometimes I go overseas, or sometimes I talk to other people in other types of meditation traditions, and I'm scared to open my eyes in the middle of the meditation. The expressions on their face are scary. I'm being honest with you. I wonder, how on earth can anyone get any deep meditation with a mug like that, a mug face like that? Impossible. And it's true, they can't. With a bit of kindness and joy, oh, your meditation takes off. Why? Because you're happy to be here. Where you are with what you've got, you're happy. Okay, this is an old story, but it's one of the favorite ones. Please put your hand up if you've heard this recently about the monk who went to teach in the prison, and they were asking him, what's it like being a monk in Buddhist monastery in Australia? How many haven't heard that? Have heard it recently? Only one or two of you? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 less. Doesn't matter if you all put your hand up, I'm going to say it anyway. It's a funny story. And it just shows you what it's like to be a monk in our modern world, because it's true. I mean, what do you guys do, even like during COVID time? What is your routine? And my routine is I always get up around 4 o'clock in the morning. That's a problem for me, because even last night, I was here until, what time we leave here? About 10 o'clock last night. Gave with Sean Nanup talk, and I just was listening most of the time for a change, which is good. So I got back to the monastery 11 o'clock, and maybe 11:30 got into bed. And I thought, I'll have a sleep in this morning. I deserve a sleep in. It was a long trip and a long being late. And of course, 4 o'clock, woke up. And I couldn't go to sleep again. So I was really tired this morning, but that doesn't matter. I had good fun. So we get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. At least you're supposed to. But if you don't, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to be sent away or banned or thrown out of the monastery. And that's just a general idea. Get up early in the morning. Meditating early in the morning is beautiful. It's one of the reasons why is because it's cool and it's quiet. It's the quietest time of the day. In the evening, there's just always something going on. Sometimes, you see people driving past the monastery or hear them, hoons, doing burnouts and stuff. But that's just what people do. You can't stop them. They try to, but, yeah. But the morning time is always very fresh and cool, and it's like your time. Most of the world's asleep. So the world is free for you to enjoy. No one's around. So I love those mornings. So that's some of the best times to meditate, just for walking. And then